camera we have in the Strand right now, where we see again high water accumulating, flooded roads. This is from a live camera that we have there. And do we know anything further about what street this might be?
I know it's the Strand, so just one of the main areas along the Strand, and you can tell that there's definitely high water there. And here's a different view from another area, and it looks like it is over the curb now, doesn't it? At least on that right-hand side of your screen. I can't tell if it's creeped into the businesses there, but look how windy it still is in Galveston. It almost makes you nauseous to take a look at this camera, so we're freezing it for you to give your eyes a break so that you can get a better idea of what it looks like. But yeah, it is just sickening to see what's going on. Yeah. And we were also just talking to you about what's been going on in Rosenberg with Jade there. She said that she witnessed that high rescue, and they were able to get a high water rescue on video for us to give us a better idea of what that looked like.
Yeah, so we want to go to that video right now. This is some video of that rescue where they, this truck, she said, basically got stuck. And so this is what they were able to get. I'm sure it was probably kind of hard to maneuver around the scene. This is the photo that the Rosenberg police posted on their social media pages earlier this morning about, having to put the barricades out, seeing the high water in the roads there, to stop cars from going through. And, as we went into this, the lieutenant governor was talking about, beware of, places just because you don't see a barricade. Well, the barricade may have, blown away or been knocked over. So sometimes that high water is there, and you may not see the barricade there anymore, but you definitely don't want to try and guess, or think, oh, maybe I can make this, because it can always end up being much deeper than you realize. But this was that high water rescue, some of the shots they were able to get after this vehicle got stuck in the high water. And of course, we're seeing that happen on some of the TransStar live cameras, cars kind of, really going pretty fast and in pretty high water. And we were watching that in Sally's live shot earlier, seeing that sedan try to get through, get stuck, and then we saw people hopping out, having to push the vehicle out. So again, to your point about the cost this is going to have on so many people, when you've got damage to your car like that, that can be very expensive damage to your vehicle. I was just talking with a mechanic about all the ways that can get in. Our cars are so electric these days, and they're basically with so many computer components, the water can really do some serious damage.
And I think one of the biggest take-homes I remember from your report is you said if you're not driving and your car is out there and you're seeing the water, maybe like in one of those neighborhoods in Rosenberg, and you're seeing it rise up on your car, don't start it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just wait and get a mechanic and get some
help.
help.
I'm sure people are like, I just want to get out of here. I just want to get out of the situation. So they're going to try and start it. And it just allows the water to get into all the components. As soon as you do that, once you've got water in your gas tank, that car isn't going anywhere. And it can end up just being completely totaled.
Sure.
Some cars can be repaired after they have been, damaged by flood water, but it really depends on the level of the damage. And whether or not they can kind of bring the car back to being functional. But the problem is people will start it up and then it's done.
Well, considering how big of space, of how many communities that this particular storm is affecting, we're really seeing it when it seems to me is the highest concern here, because we have 12 high water locations. A lot of times during hurricanes it will be hundreds of high water locations, right? Our biggest problem is thousands of trees down in the greater Houston area as the storm continues to make its way north.
And I'm sure that's a big part of, we're seeing power outages well over 1.5 million. I think we're almost to 1.6 million throughout the region from Centerpoint. And that doesn't even include some of the smaller power suppliers. So I'm sure those numbers are even higher. But yeah, with so many trees down, that's always a big culprit of what causes so many people to lose power.
All right, and we're talking again about generators. We know a lot of you, I'm seeing so many of you reaching out to me and saying, hey, I'm on generator. That is, it's just one viewer after another. Please just remember to do that safely. We do not want any reports of carbon monoxide poisoning, so please make sure that is so far from your house, as far as you can get it, to make sure that you and your family stay safe.
And one of the hazards people do there is they'll even put it under, like something like an overhang or, a parking thing, but that the fumes can still accumulate even though if it's open on the sides. You don't want to still have it under there, and I know people are probably doing that because they don't want it out in the rain either, but it really just needs to be a good safe distance out outside where it can just breathe the air. You don't want those fumes coming in to affect you.
It'll be nice when we can all breathe a sigh of relief when this is over. But for now, we're still in the height of the storm. Let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Mike Iskevitz, find out what's happening out there right now. How are we looking as far as those tornado warnings? It seems like that has slowed down a little bit from earlier when they were just one after another.
Yep, thank goodness we haven't had any recently, but we're still having very high winds. In fact, Hobby Airport just at 8:13, so about 45 minutes ago, 84-mile-an-hour wind gusts, which is wild. To put it in some perspective, when Hurricane Ike made landfall, remember it was Category 2, much larger system, but the highest wind gust, I believe, is 92. So this is comparable in some ways to that. Of course, it's not going to have the long-lasting catastrophic effects that that system had. Speaking of rainfall totals, because you know we were just talking about staying off the roads at all costs unless it's absolute emergency. Let me show you some of the rainfall totals. This is as measured here over the last 12 hours. So we've gone through, looked at the rain gauges. So these aren't estimates. These are official measured values in new territory along Highway 90 in Sugar Land. Just shy of 8 inches of rain, 7.92 inches. The Westbury area there, southwest Houston, 7.88 inches. Makawa at the South Beltway, just north of Pearland, south side of Houston, 8.28 inches. Just north of Alvin, this is just up, I think, Highway 35 from Alvin, 8.28 inches. Bear Creek in the western part of Harris County, just north of I-10, 6.04. Baytown has had coming up on 5.5 inches of rain. Channelview's had a little bit more than 4.5 inches. Galveston is approaching 6 inches. And this is, I know, one area that everybody pays attention to since 288 has flooded so many times, you know, there around the Herman Park, McGregor Park area. McGregor Park, Brays Bayou, that area has picked up 5.5 inches of rain. So, yeah, we've had some amazing rainfall totals. And when you look at the radar estimated rainfall totals, we may have had as much as 11 inches of rain falling down in parts of Brazoria County. We don't know yet because there just weren't any observations there. The Angleton Lake Jackson Airport, by the way, went offline after we had those super high wind gusts, lost communication. I don't know if it broke or if it just maybe the internet connection, you know, cut off, but we don't have any more data coming from that location. Pearland, this area here just off to the north of Pearland and into the southeast side of Harris County, looks like radar estimates between about 6 and 9 inches of rain. What about those winds? Well, we could still use our Doppler radar to track the cloud level winds. So it's tracking how fast the rain droplets are moving. It's actually technically tracking how fast they're moving toward or away from the radar, which is in League City. But it's getting cloud level winds of 83 miles per hour and 86 miles per hour zipping by there. So up, you know, maybe 1,000 feet, couple of thousand feet up in the air, that wind is just howling along with sustained winds of about 85 miles per hour. And from time to time, that's mixing down to the surface. And it is getting worse. So Bush Airport recently measuring a 79 mile per hour wind gust. That is amazing. For the storm to hold together this far inland, that eye, which is really not an eye, it's an eye-like center, is right over Katy right now. So if you're watching us from Katy and the winds are kind of lighter and you think, well, maybe it's, you know, this is it, you're actually in the rare circumstances of, you know, sort of being in the eye of the hurricane. But Houston is getting the worst of it right now. One of the reasons is that we have rain bands coming through. This is where, so I showed you up at the cloud level how the winds are blowing at 85 miles per hour. And that will mix down to the surface when you have these downpours like that. You know, the rain falls through the air and you get these higher winds that just, that momentum gets carried down to the surface. So we have 79 miles an hour at Bush, 84 at Hobby, and Houston Ellington Field, 62 miles per hour, LaPorte 60 miles per hour. Remember, these are gusts. It isn't a sustained wind, so we're seeing gusts out there that are very, very strong. The system is actually more than 350 miles from north to south right now. And what we would love to see, what we're waiting to see, in fact, starting to see it, is that those brighter colors, like that magenta and the really darker red, that starts to go away. It looks like we're trending in that direction. What that means is that the clouds are not as tall. The clouds actually start to warm on the top as they sink a little bit. And so that's a sign of some weakening and that the rain will get a little lighter. So The storm is finally starting to show some signs of weakening, but for right now, I mean, you can see that circulation. It's actually right over an area from Katy down to Sugar Land and Rosenberg, and we do still have some rain bands, so some higher winds could still make their way through West Columbia and Angleton, but this is the worst of it right now. Talking about Pearland and Friendswood, and then all the way up to downtown Houston. That's where we're seeing some of the worst of it right now. Whoops, that's an old tracker there for you. Flash flood warning again continues across the area, including all of Houston until 11 a.m. You will not want to venture out there. We've been showing you cameras from all over the place where roads are impassable. We've already had some people stall out their cars. The car's probably ruined. And so let's not do that. We want to try to keep you safe and keep you at home or stay put, just to, you know, obviously to be on the safe side. It just so happened that the center of circulation is passing through an area here around Fulshire and Katy, that the city of Houston itself and Harris County is just right in the bullseye of the heaviest rain, the strongest winds on the eastern part, or that so-called dirty side of the eye wall. And by the dirty side, I mean, if this is the circulation right here, over on the cleaner side, you know, again, these are just terms, there's much less rain over around Sealy. And then on that so-called dirty side or wet side, it is just going bonkers in Houston. This flash flood warning will probably even be extended for some spots past 11 a.m. Also, be advised, even if the rain has stopped or even if it's slowed to a trickle, that doesn't mean that the flooding is over with. The flooding takes a long time to settle down, especially since you're dealing with the combination of rainfall draining into the creeks and bayous and still a bit of a storm surge along the coastline. Everything's just rising. So Sweeney, Lake Jackson, Freeport, Bay City, all of these areas, you guys are under a flash flood warning. And that goes the same here for Brazoria County. So hard hit, I know. Angleton, Lake Jackson, and then even heading up here past Bonnie, village of Bonnie. I've been through there a few times on the way down to Surfside. Hope you guys are okay. This area I know floods very badly. Holiday Lakes and those spots. I hope you guys are doing all right. If you're home and you're safe, please stay there. You know, don't venture out there on the roadway on 521. Or on 288. Here's a look at the latest location. So this just was an update to us. We'll get the full update, meaning the new forecast track and the new prediction of speeds and so forth coming up at 10. But as of the 9 a.m. advisory, you'll see the center of circulation of what's still considered a Category 1 hurricane is right around Mission Bend. So, but because it's so large, it includes Katy and like the west side of Harris County and even Sugar Land. It's moving to the north at 12 miles per hour. We'll get a new pressure measurement too coming up at the 10 o'clock update. But this is a look ahead at what we're looking at as far as the progress by 2 p.m. today. The center of circulation is around Huntsville, and then beyond that by 5:30 this afternoon, it's out. So we're going to see very fast improvement to our situation coming up during the mid to late part of the afternoon. Thank goodness, right? Because there's going to be a lot of cleanup that has to be done out there. So this is not going to be a long-lived system. In fact, let me go ahead and just show you this. We haven't talked a lot about 7-day forecasts for obvious reasons, but let me just show you this, that once we get past the hurricane conditions today, tomorrow, Wednesday, even Thursday, yes, a chance for a few isolated thunderstorms, but by and large, it's going to get hot and drier. Not dry in terms of humidity, but dry in terms of less rain. So something to keep in mind, guys, as we sort of recover from all of this, Heather and Melissa, is that it is going to get hot. So people have no electricity, no air conditioning, and they're doing repairs outside, and the high temperatures probably going to get up to like 92, 93, 94. So that's going to be yet another post-storm hazard. But for right now, in the short term, the next hour, hour and a half, actually Houston is seeing some of the worst of it right downtown.
And we want to thank our content partners with Fox 26 Houston for that report. You're taking a live look at our XRAD system as we were hearing from the meteorologists right there at Fox 26 that Houston right now getting the brunt of what is still a Category 1 hurricane. It is slowly weakening, but still just dumping torrential rain, leading to flash flooding and other concerns. And we have learned, according to the Harris County Sheriff, tragically, one man has lost his life as he was sheltering in place at home with his family, his wife and children. An oak tree fell on the roof, hitting the rafters, and that structure fell on the male. That's according to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez's social media page. He says that the man was 53 years old. His wife and children are unharmed, but he is making his way there. At this point in time, we have not heard from any of the